Welcome to Frank Bruno Law. I'm Frank Bruno. A guardianship attorney can and does either help the petitioner in a guardianship action or assist the ward in a guardianship action. So that's it, end of video. Thank you and good night. I'll give you a little bit more. The guardianship that I'm speaking about is an Article 81 petition under the mental hygiene law, where one person seeks to be the guardian of another person, and that's either of the person and their care or of their money called property. Guardian of the person would assist the person with medical issues, their health and welfare, applying for benefits, helping to determine where they're going to reside. And a guardian of the property is really a guardian of the money, the income, the assets, and how to protect the assets and the income of that person. And then the ward is, after a hearing, if a person has been adjudicated in need of a guardian, they would be alleged, at the beginning, they would be alleged to be incapacitated. After a hearing, they would be adjudicated incapacitated. They would be labeled as an IP, incapacitated person. That person would be a ward, W-A-R-D, and the guardian would assist them, him, her, in their activities of daily living, issues related to their money, finance, assets, income, health, all of those things. It's a really a parental role. Think about what a parent does on behalf of a minor child, right? Takes them to medical doctors, enrolls them in school, looks out for their welfare, safeguards their money, health, and right, all of the things of a child. Well, the guardian has that parental role. They're labeled a guardian, and they care for the person and the property. And it could be either separate or dual roles. A guardian could be guardian of the person only, or guardian of the money, or both. So I think that guardianship and estate planning go hand in hand, and guardianship, estate planning, I said that, go hand in hand. And estate planning and probate and administration go hand in hand, right? They're different aspects of it, of an area of practice. So at least that's my take, and that's why I handle the few areas. This month, I did an estate planning webinar. I did it on 2 different days. I usually do it at night, 6 o'clock, and the next day at 12 noon, or 12 noon followed by the next day at 6 o'clock, right? So like say a Wednesday and Thursday, or a Tuesday and Wednesday, and I give an evening and a day. I did a 3rd webinar this month where I only offered it one time in the afternoon, a guardianship webinar. So I think I titled it Guardianship from A to Z. And I went through A to Z, the onset of the case, why you might file a guardianship. And a guardianship, some states in the country call it conservatorship. In New York, I remember that term. I'm a practicing lawyer. I graduated law school in '95. I knew of the term, but for I think nearly the entirety of my practice in New York, we've called it guardianship. So conservatorship, and in New York, we use the term guardianship. That's Article 81 of the mental hygiene law. So it's an area, right? Sometimes people will say health law, because it's concerning itself with the well-being of a person. So why a petition might be filed from one person seeking to be the guardian of another person that's an adult, separate and apart from being a guardian for your children or for children that aren't yours, but you're their legal guardian. So the terms are similar, but used in a different context. So it was quite successful. I intend to do another hour-long seminar on guardianship in the month of March. I didn't pick a date yet. I'm filming this in February. March is the next month. And I think maybe for the next few months, I'll offer a guardianship seminar once a month. And it's good to, see the beginning of the case, maybe why you might file, the circumstances of filing, the mechanism to file. It's by order to show cause, there's a petition, and then I name all of the players. So there's an attorney for a petitioner, there's a petitioner, there's an alleged incapacitated person, there's a court evaluator, there might be an attorney for the alleged incapacitated person, there's one or more court dates. I go through them, I'll discuss the hearing, and I think it's a nice compact overview of the guardianship process. I shared with this group that I've been conducting public webinars on the area of protecting your home and your estate and your assets, discussing incapacity during life and protection of your assets from long-term care costs, creditors, predators, things that go bump in the night. I also started conducting a guardianship webinar, an A to Z type program, familiarizing you with the players and the participants in the guardianship process in the area of Article 81, mental hygiene law. And I have that video available. The webinar was tape recorded, if I could still use those words. Tape recorded, right? Am I dating myself? It was probably screen captured on Zoom. I have it in a webinar type format on Zoom. You don't see any other people. I do answer some questions at the end. If you have any interest, reach out to my office, frankbrunolaw.com. Send an email. We could send you the webinar. It's about an hour long. I find it very informative. I mean, it came from me, and I was looking to produce this to provide a service, to let you know a little bit more about the guardianship process, what you can expect, and if you're going to file a petition, it'll give you some insight. A question that sometimes comes up in the guardianship arena, if you're the petitioner, how do you pay for the legal fees? Well, we have a retainer. I try to charge, when possible, one fixed price for an uncontested guardianship. But should the matter become contested, then we have to bill on an hourly basis. I do ask for some portion of the legal fees up front, and then we can get paid by court order from the assets of the incapacitated person. When there's a guardian appointed, the court can direct payment of the legal fees of the petitioner in any judgment that the court makes. How does a court evaluator get paid? Before I get to that, if you would like to make an appointment, if you want to speak with me, if you have the burning desire to speak with me, go to frankbrunolaw.com. Actually, today I just fielded a call, I just fielded an email. So I've shared that email before, and someone in our viewing audience took me up on that, Frank at Frank Bruno Law, and I received a question. So actually, I could have answered that one today, but I'll go with the different question of how does a court evaluator get paid? A court evaluator is an appointed role in an Article 81 guardianship proceeding. This is the person that is the eyes and ears of the court. So one person has filed a petition to be the guardian. The court takes that and appoints an attorney to the role of court evaluator to interview the alleged incapacitated person, to view medical records, financial documents, and to attend to preparing a report. Then ultimately, the court evaluator becomes a witness in the case to speak to the level of care that perhaps is needed and to offer an unbiased opinion as to whether or not the court evaluator is in support of the application for a guardianship. The court evaluator has to calculate, keep a record of his or her hours, and then submit an affirmation, a sworn statement of the legal services rendered, and then the judge, ultimately in the order, will determine the amount of the fee to the court evaluator. I'm an elder law, probate, guardianship attorney. I said, hey, those have 3 different names. Well, they're sort of related. They kind of affect a certain population, and I handle those 3 areas of the law. Probate is what you do when you take a will and you bring it to the court to ultimately get letters of administration and to resolve the estate of a deceased person. Guardianship is when a person has an incapacity and one person files to be the guardian of another. Those 2 fields are not similar necessarily, except they really are. And elder law attorney, issues affecting an elderly population, which is both the guardianship. Sometimes young people could need guardians as well. Guardianship, and then ultimately the passing. More frequently, older people pass away than younger people. That's how, as an elder law attorney, I see those 3 areas. A lot of elder law and probate attorneys don't handle the guardianship, and that's because it's a court proceeding. It could be both contested or uncontested. More frequently than not, it involves testimony, direct questioning of witnesses, cross-examination, introduction of experts. That's why sometimes other elder law attorneys shy away from it. They just don't want to handle it. And I will tell you, there are many guardianship attorneys that never handle issues related to elder law or even the surrogates court. They handle all aspects of guardianship. So in my office, we handle all 3 areas. I received a call today concerning a guardianship matter. And this guardianship matter it's an active case. It began pre-pandemic and it's lasted through the pandemic. We had a virtual hearing and then orders were submitted. And the follow-up today is that the person that was made a guardian, appointed a guardian in this instance, is not actually stepping up and taking their role. Because this is such a new case, we give a little bit of time for the guardian to get their sea legs, right? Get their feet underneath them. Make sure that they're taking the right steps, taking the class to become a guardian, obtaining a bond, opening up an account on behalf of the incapacitated person. There are a number of things that the guardian has to do, and that causes there to be a little bit of a lag time between the adjudication, meaning the decision of the court, and then ultimately the guardian taking action. So we monitor these cases closely. The lag time can be appropriate, but when it becomes too long, when feet are dragged, then we have to take certain steps. We try to resolve the issues with telephone calls, letters, and emails before having to go back into the court and having that person explain to the judge why they aren't taking the appropriate actions. So if I write a letter, referencing dates and say, hey, you were appointed the guardian on this date, and it is now, this other later date, what are you doing? If they refer the person to the doctor, maybe they didn't officially start, but they got the ball rolling. They're in motion. So, as I explained to my client, in these trying times, we all need a little grace. Okay? If you need to speak with me about your situation, please go to frankbrunolaw.com. Schedule an interview, read a blog post, watch a video. Any way that you can become familiar with perhaps the remedies that could address your situation. Thank you very much.